Imagine stepping into a world where no one hides behind fabric. A place where children laugh, elders gather, and families go about their daily lives, completely unclothed. Not in shame, not in secrecy, but in full view of the sun, the earth, and the spirits they believe in. In this tribe, nudity isn't provocative, it's pure. Clothing isn't a necessity, it's a foreign concept. And to them, you wearing clothes might seem just as strange as they seem to you. Welcome to a remote African village where life unfolds in ways the modern world can barely comprehend. A place where tradition overrides taboo. Where freedom isn't measured in wealth or possessions, but in how connected you are to nature, your body, and your ancestors. You might call it primitive. They'd call it peace. And here's the twist. These people aren't hidden in some untouched forest. They're not running from modernity. They're simply choosing a different way. A lifestyle that challenges everything you've been taught about shame, modesty, and identity. So the question is, what happens when a culture says no to pants, shirts, and shame, and lives proudly, day after day, with nothing but body paint and belief? In this video, we'll take you deep into the life of a tribe where the naked body is not taboo, it's tradition. And once you understand why they live like this, you might realize that they're not the strange ones. We are. Get ready to question everything you thought you knew about being civilized. Because in this place, no clothes, no problem. To truly understand why this tribe chooses to live without clothes, we first need to understand who they are. Deep in the heart of Africa, beyond the cities, the highways, and even the villages touched by modern life, there exists a people untouched by the usual rules of society. They're often labeled as a naked tribe by outsiders. Some call them exotic, others say they're lost in time. But if you ask them, they'll simply tell you, this is who we've always been. This isn't about rebellion or spectacle. It's about identity. These communities live in harmony with the land, guided by ancient customs passed down through generations. Their nudity isn't about sex. It's about connection, to the earth, to their spirits, and to one another. Clothes, to them, are unnatural. An unnecessary barrier between the body and the world. What's even more fascinating? Their lifestyle is filled with rich rituals, colorful body paint, and spiritual ceremonies that honor birth, death, and everything in between. Topless women gather to grind grains or dance during festivals. Tribal elders, often bare-chested, lead ceremonies with voices that echo through the trees. To the outside world, this can look shocking, even provocative. But here, it's just life. Many of these tribes have survived centuries of colonization, missionary pressure, and modern media trying to tell them they need to cover up. But despite it all, they remain proud, topless, and unapologetically themselves. And the deeper you go into their world, the more you start to ask, what if we're the ones who lost something? Up next, let's explore how daily life works without clothes, and what their society actually looks like when fabric is no longer part of the picture. Daily life without clothes. So what does daily life actually look like in a community where clothing doesn't exist? Surprisingly, it looks peaceful, functional, and in many ways free. Wake up just after sunrise. The birds chirp through the thick canopies of the forest. Children run barefoot, laughing, playing in the dust. Elders sit under tall trees weaving baskets or preparing herbs for traditional medicine. There are no clothes, no mirrors, no fashion trends to follow. Just the rhythm of nature guiding their every move. Men head out to hunt or fish. Women tend to crops, cook meals over open fires, or bathe together in the river. There's no embarrassment in nakedness here. It's as normal as breathing. A woman walking topless through the village doesn't turn heads. A child splashing naked in a stream doesn't raise eyebrows. This is life without shame. Their bodies are often painted, not covered, using natural clay, ash, or herbal pastes. These markings aren't random. They tell stories. They signify age, marital status, fertility, or preparation for a ceremony. In a way, the body becomes the canvas for expression, not the fabric. You may be wondering, What about protection from the sun or insects? They have natural solutions. Leaves, oils, and ash are used not just for decoration, but also for practical survival. And here's what truly stands out. Even without clothes, there's an invisible fabric of respect that holds the community together. Young girls are protected. Elders are honored. And intimacy is something sacred, not shown or flaunted. In many ways, their nudity feels more modest than some modern cities. But how did this way of life survive for so long, even as the outside world closed in? Next, we'll take you into the past, to uncover the origins of their naked tradition and how it all began. History and origins of the naked tradition. To truly understand why nudity is so normal here, we need to step back, hundreds, even thousands of years, into the untouched past of these tribes. Before colonization, before missionaries arrived, before borders were drawn on maps, these people lived by their own codes, passed down through oral stories and ancestral customs. Clothing simply wasn't a concept that existed in their world. Why? Because it wasn't needed. The environment was warm. The land was generous. And modesty wasn't tied to fabric, it was tied to behavior. In fact, for many African tribes, nudity was once seen as a sign of purity, strength, and pride. Wearing clothes was associated with outsiders, strangers, or those hiding something. Children were raised seeing the human body as natural, not shameful, not sexualized. And that's the key difference. Elders in these communities often tell stories of their ancestors, how they farmed, hunted, loved, and raised families with dignity, all while fully or partially nude. They talk about initiation ceremonies where a boy becomes a man, or a girl becomes a woman, events where body paint, dance, and symbolic nudity play essential roles in marking life's transitions. But then came the outsiders. Colonial powers. Missionaries. Traders. They brought fabric, religion, and foreign ideas of morality. Suddenly, being nude was called primitive. And many tribes were shamed into clothing, told to cover up or risk punishment. Yet some resisted. Quietly, bravely. They held on to their old ways. Not out of rebellion, but out of cultural pride. Out of belief in something deeper than outside judgment. And even today, these tribes continue to live that truth. Not as a performance. Not as protest. But as a way of life. So, how do these tribes view outsiders like us? That's where things get even more surprising. Outsider reactions and culture clashes. When an outsider first visits a tribe where people live without clothes, one emotion hits first: shock. It's not the kind of shock that's loud or dramatic. It's more like a silent wave. A mix of confusion, discomfort, and a weird sense of envy. Because suddenly, all the things we've been taught, modesty, shame, embarrassment, feel out of place. Western visitors often describe the experience as surreal. Some arrive expecting chaos or inappropriate behavior. But what they find instead is dignity. Calm. Warmth. Community. Children play freely. Elders sit proudly. Life moves in rhythm with the land, not Instagram likes. But not everyone responds peacefully. Missionaries and colonial-era visitors once reacted with disgust. They labeled the tribes uncivilized, calling nudity sinful or savage. Clothes were forced onto communities in the name of decency. Yet ironically, these same outsiders often introduced more violence and division than the so-called naked savages ever did. Today, reactions still vary. Some tourists gawk. Some take pictures without consent. Others feel deeply uncomfortable and can't wait to leave. But a few stay longer and begin to understand. One traveler said, "At first, I thought they were exposing themselves. But over time, I realized it was me who had been hiding." This clash isn't just about clothes, it's about values. About how we define respect, freedom, and humanity. In these tribes, nudity isn't sexual, it's normal. But in the outside world, decades of media, advertising, and religion have taught us the opposite. And yet, something happens when outsiders spend real time in these communities. judgment fades. Curiosity grows. And sometimes, admiration blossoms. But here's the twist. How do these tribes feel about being watched, photographed, and judged from afar? In the next section, we'll explore how they respond to the growing interest, and sometimes exploitation, from the outside world. Modern exploitation and media fascination. In today's connected world, the curiosity about naked or topless tribes has exploded. Documentaries, viral videos, and sensational headlines pull millions of eyes toward these communities. But this media fascination is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it shines a light on cultures many people never knew existed, inviting respect, understanding, and sometimes even protection. It helps preserve stories that might otherwise be forgotten. But on the other hand, it can distort and exploit. Imagine being a member of a tribe where nakedness is a natural state, an everyday reality, only to find yourself suddenly on camera, reduced to a naked spectacle for millions of strangers. That's not just invasive, it's dehumanizing. Worse, some outsiders treat these tribes like exotic objects or even sexual fantasies, turning their culture into erotic content for mass consumption. This exploitation hurts real people. It erases the deeper meaning behind their traditions, replacing it with shallow curiosity or voyeurism. And the sex documentary label? It's often misleading, sensationalized to boost views rather than reflect truth. Many tribes hold intimacy sacred and private, something far removed from what media portrays. This exploitation can also disrupt the delicate balance of tribal life. Outsiders might bring gifts, cameras, or influence that upset social norms. Young members of tribes can become confused or pressured to adopt outside values, sometimes threatening their identity. So what's the solution? Many advocates urge respectful storytelling, one that humanizes rather than sensationalizes, that listens more than it judges. Understanding this helps us appreciate these tribes as complex people with rich cultures, not just naked curiosities. Coming up next, what lessons can we learn from their way of life, and how might it challenge our own views on freedom and identity? Lessons from naked freedom. Living without clothes might seem shocking or even impossible to many of us. But when we look closely at these tribes, there are deeper lessons hidden beneath the surface of their nakedness. Lessons about freedom, acceptance, and connection. First, there's a powerful sense of authenticity. Without clothes to hide behind, people live openly, showing who they are physically and emotionally. There's less pretense, less masking of true selves. Imagine a world where judgment isn't based on fashion, wealth, or appearance, but on character and community. That's what naked freedom teaches. Then, there's body positivity, something many of us struggle with today. These tribes don't view the human body as something to be ashamed of or conceal. Instead, they honor it as part of their identity, worthy of respect and care. In a society obsessed with perfection, their acceptance feels like a breath of fresh air. Nudity also fosters a profound connection to nature. Their bare skin feels the sun, wind, and rain directly. They're more in tune with their environment, living in balance rather than separation. This relationship encourages mindfulness, being present in every moment. And finally, naked freedom challenges us to rethink our own social taboos. Why do we feel uncomfortable or embarrassed about something so natural? What have we been taught to fear or hide? The answer often lies in culture, not nature. So, could embracing a bit of this openness bring more peace and confidence to our lives? Maybe it's not about walking around naked, but about shedding emotional layers, freeing ourselves from unnecessary shame. As we reflect on these lessons, remember this tribe's nakedness isn't just physical, it's a symbol of courage and authenticity. Up next, what happens when modern life and ancient freedom collide? Stay tuned. The future of these traditions and cultural preservation. What does the future hold for tribes living without clothes in a world that's changing faster than ever? As cities grow and technology spreads, many traditional lifestyles face the risk of disappearing. For these naked tribes, modernization brings both challenges and opportunities. On one hand, Exposure to outside cultures can lead to pressure to conform, wear clothes, adopt new customs, and abandon old ways. Governments sometimes push for development, which may mean schools and infrastructure, but also an erosion of cultural identity. But on the other hand, there's a rising awareness globally about respecting indigenous traditions. Documentaries, ethical tourism, and cultural preservation projects are shining a light on these communities, not to exploit them, but to celebrate and protect their unique way of life. Many tribal leaders now actively balance tradition with change. They teach their children to appreciate their heritage while navigating the modern world. This delicate dance means holding on to the pride of no clothes, no problem, while understanding the outside world's expectations. The question is, will these tribes survive intact, or will they become a footnote in history? There's no simple answer, but one thing is clear. Their story challenges us to rethink what it means to live free, to be human, and to respect diversity in all its forms. So the next time you see someone topless, naked, or simply living differently, remember, there's a deep, beautiful history behind that choice. A culture built on freedom, respect, and harmony with nature. If this glimpse into their world moved you, wait until you hear about their most sacred ceremonies and celebrations. Coming up next in our series. If this story of freedom, tradition, and courage surprised or inspired you, go ahead and smash that like button. It really helps us bring more eye-opening content your way. Have thoughts or questions about these tribes or their way of life? Drop a comment below. We love hearing from you and continuing the conversation. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss our deep dives into the world's most fascinating and taboo cultures. And if you want to keep exploring, check out our next video where we reveal the most sacred ceremonies of the naked tribes. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching and being part of this incredible journey into cultures that challenge everything we think we know about normal. Stay curious, stay open-minded, and I'll see you in the next video.